home. And you got 25 days to contact us. Come on in, sit down with one of the field appraisers. There's one right over there with his camera. And and go over everything. And we pull everything out about your property. So they're saying that's what we already do. As far as accepting the private bank appraisals, they are loaning money, so they've got a different way of looking at it. They go inside the house and look at everything. We do, quote, mass appraisal. We don't have the luxury of going in houses and things like that. So when you bring something to our attention, when you get the trim notice, we go out there and we individually look at those properties. And if we find we're okay, then you go before the value adjustment board. As far as legacy, you're kind of, it's like the villages. On one of these debates, somebody brought up the fact that the mobile home park, bonfire, or something like that, was assessed differently than the villages were assessed. Where would you rather live? Legacy or bonfire mobile home park? We've got to lose comps from all over the county, just not within Legacy.
My prerogative is that 2 paychecks is double dipping. I'm from Illinois. I know what double dipping is. In addition to that, he will get a second retirement check if he's reelected. So let's put the truth on the table. Miss Lee. You've already done it. Okay, Mr. Baker, from what company, and I'll give you an opportunity to answer that. From what company or organization or agency would you purchase stenographic imaging? Mr. Baker.
Thank you. Part of the good news is the state also has a requirement to fund some of these aerial photographies. But the problem is that the technology is just not there. It allows you to do the basic job, but right now there's private vendors that provide this new technology, and some of the other property appraisers are now building their own in-house, like Orange County as an example, their own in-house abilities to take these aerial photographies. And when I talk about these photographs, a lot of this technology is actually 3D. So when it comes across the computer screen, it is a 3D circular image of all the properties. With the type of technology like Volusia County has that actually can measure the buildings and do all kinds of great cost-saving, innovative ideas. So it's not just simple photographs. So there's private vendors. The state of Florida will probably continue to improve the photography that they offer, as well as you have property appraisers themselves that are going into partnerships to do their own photography, and that also will be made available to all the other property appraisers, including Lake County.
Along that line, please define how you would go about improving information technology for the property appraiser's office. Since satellite imagery and PC are in use now, what will the component or what would the cost impact be?
Well, just so you know, I mean, I'm assuming that there's probably pie in the sky, costly technology out there that we couldn't afford. I mean, so every item that we're going to look at, we'll do a cost estimate. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of this technology at this point we just can't afford. But what we'll do, we'll take a look at the technology, we'll measure what it's going to do as far as cost savings, and we'll crunch the numbers. And where we can find technology that actually results in better services and cost savings, we'll implement it. And if we can't do that, we won't.
Mr. Havill, the same questions, and then I'll give you 30 seconds.
Okay, well,
drop them.
Bill, can you give me that first question here, please?
The first question? From what company or organization or agency would you purchase your stenographic images?
Well, am I going to stand here and tell you company X, Y, or Z? I'm not. I'm going to go out for bids. When you folks get a pool put in or something like that, you don't go to the pool place around the corner and say, come on up and put my pool in. You go out and find how much pools are selling for in Lake County. That's the way I do everything. As far as your second question, what was that, Bill?
The information technology of the property appraiser's office, the satellite imagery and the PC are in use now. what would be the cost impact for the information technology?
Okay, I'm not going to talk around it. GIS costs about $3 per parcel per year to do it. Every 2 years, you got to fly the county, and the maps, the aerials change. You've got to have analysts for that. That's the stuff we've been doing for years, since the late 1990s here in Lake County. So you get into costs like that, and what you got to do, as I said earlier, you got to balance it. You look at the furniture in my office, I've got an antique desk, antique sofa, and so forth. I've got my own printer computer. My wife, Donna, and I pay for everything. You pay for the telephone in my office. That's not something I did this year. I've been doing it all the years I've been your property appraiser. I saved money. I led petition drives statewide to put a cap on taxes. In 1980, we got it on the ballot to cap your property taxes, and the Supreme Court of Florida took it off before you folks could vote on it. That's the way I've always been, and that's the way I'll continue to be.
Ms. Lee.
Well, I think it's important that as a property appraiser, one of the functions of the property appraiser is to have a complete and total inventory of all the lands within the county that belong to the state or the county or some other government entity. And the amount of property that actually belongs to these entities is quite extensive. So before I would spend any money on any other technology, I would want to do first a process audit to make sure that the processes that are now in effect are being followed. And once you make sure that you are in compliance with the current applications, then you start looking for what's going to be the best technology, the state-of-the-art technology, but at the best cost. Because there's no sense spending a lot of money on technology that's going to assess property that no one pays taxes on. And there's a lot of that. So I think it's important to understand that you don't want to spend $10,000 to collect $1,000. So I think you have to keep in mind exactly what kind of payoff you're going to get by spending and how much you can spend as a reasonable amount of money to check. Now we're talking about the GIS system, and believe me, I've been on the website, I've used the GIS system, I've been to a lot of the other property appraiser websites within this state, and I can tell you that it is there. It is, last time I checked, I figured it was probably about 5 years old because there are buildings that I know that have been bulldozed that still show up on the GIS. So that right there, I think it just needs to be updated. And then if you look around at some of the other property appraisers' websites, you see that they're way ahead in the technology basis. But before I spend any of the money, I want to make sure that it's going to actually solve the problem. Thank you.
Mr. Price.
The GIS technology that we currently have available here in Lake County is sufficient for many types of properties, such as if you were going to look at a house on 40 acres, you can see from that GIS photo that's taken from a satellite that they've added a barn in the back part of the acreage. And you can tell that they're on a golf course or that they're on a lake. That's all fine and dandy. The problem comes in when, based on the time of the day that satellite imagery photo was taken, shadows from the roof can be cast and make it appear that an addition has been put onto a house, which will cause your assessment to get brought up to market value. I know of one particular instance where this actually happened. The property appraiser's office thought that an addition had been put on the house and it was simply a shadow of the roof line because of the time of the day, and anyhow, that was a mess. But the current technology that's out there not only looks down at the roof like ours does, but you can see all four sides of the house in great detail. It's called pictometry. That's the newest technology they're using for that. Now, cost effectiveness, if we can eliminate having to drive to a lot of properties, in fact the statutes now allow the property appraisers to review some of their properties by the aerial photography rather than making a physical inspection, that's fine, but it's going to have to be a cost-benefit analysis. You know, is the new technology going to cost more than still sending people out there in the truck? We'll have to look down and see. As far as the vendors, yes, you would want to send it out to bids. You want each person to make their sales pitch. You wouldn't just take the first one that came along. You'd want to analyze everything, get the best cost benefit for the taxpayers of Lake County.
Take 30 seconds on that drop if you want to rebut that.
Drop? I can't.
The drop program, the two checks, the two paychecks.
As I said earlier, my retirement is not costing you a penny because that's the deal quote I made with the state when I first ran in 1976. Just like any other elected official makes because they're on the state retirement system. If the legislature decides to change that, that's the new law. If they don't change it, which I doubt if they'll ever do it, because then they can get on the drop system, run for a local office, get their retirement up, and so forth. If I left today, or at the end of this term, you'd have to hire somebody who gets paid exactly what my salary is. So it won't cost you it doesn't cost you an extra penny for me to have my retirement because of the cancer and me to be paid because I'm the most experienced appraiser up there. Thank you.
We mentioned that Welton Caldwell, Jimmy Connor, Tim Sullivan, a candidate, once again. Stand up again, Tim. You got to get your name recognition. We're going to be here May 5th.
Twee Lowe is here too.
Oh, Ms. Lowe, running for the school board. Thank you for coming. In the future, we'll have the school board, won't we, Dick, candidates, so be ready for that. We'll be happy to have you. Is there any other information? We got registration back in the back. Some people have registered today. We're changing the registration. Please take the time to go back there and sign petitions for these candidates because it puts their name on the ballot, and that's very important for the process. So if you'll take the time to do that, we would appreciate it. Is there anything else, Dick?
Well, I'd just like to mention, well, first of all, thank you for everybody for coming today. Thank you to all the candidates. Just a gentle reminder, if you want to vote for any of these candidates in the August primary, you must be a registered Republican. Registered Republican. If you're an independent, ask for Republican petition or vote the ballot, you're not going to get it.
Wait a minute, honey. We got one final question, but before that, George wants to reiterate something.
Who's honey?
My wife.
Just a reminder, we have a supply of these. If you didn't pick one up now. They're right here.
What do the letters GIS stand for?
GIS, tell us.
Geographic Information System.
That's what they shoot artillery shells with, Colonel. You know, put them right down their throat, you know what I'm saying? The closing question for all four candidates, and we're going to start with Mr. Price, I think would be the order, and end with Mr. Baker. Why are you the best candidate for the position? Why should we vote for you, Mr. Price?
Well, I feel that I'm the most qualified candidate for this position, and I'll tell you what. I've been doing this business for 27 years. I know about your value. Okay, now, I have run my own appraisal business. I've had as many as 12 appraisers working for me at one time. I have trained countless of my now direct competitors over the years. And I feel I can bring my knowledge and experience in managing appraisal offices to the county property appraiser's office, make the necessary changes. Up here we have two candidates that have no appraisal experience. I do believe that's very important. Senator Baker has passed some appraisal legislation. He's also passed some health care legislation. Doesn't mean he's qualified to be a doctor. Ms. Lee doesn't have any appraisal credentials. Said she couldn't even get into schools to do appraisal. She said she tried, but she couldn't even get into a class. I can't say that Ed's not qualified. Obviously, Ed is qualified for this position. He's been doing it for 36 years. But I think that it's time that we had some new blood in the office, someone who's not been a politician before, someone who has no political baggage, as they would say about Newt Gingrich. And I would bring a fresh start to the office. I would appreciate your vote. I would appreciate if you haven't filled out one of my petition cards, please do. You may have noticed there's a few people here wearing Price t-shirts. Just go see them. They have petition cards if you haven't had a chance to sign one. I thank you for this opportunity to let you get to know us better, and thank you very much.
I would like to set the records. I would like to set the record straight as far as taking classes for property appraiser. Yes, I looked into it, and the reason that I couldn't get into a class is because they're not offering any. Actually, I qualify for it. I've got a AA, which is what you need to get in. I have a 3.55 GPA, so that's not a problem. The problem is they're not offering any classes at this time, and the requirements are so stringent right now because of the laws, because of what happened a while back with the mortgage meltdown and all that. The requirements are very stringent, so the class structures have changed. If they offer a class, I'm more than happy to become educated in the appraisal system. I do know a lot about it because I like to self-educate myself just by asking questions, not necessarily just accepting what people tell me. As far as why you should vote for me, well, here, let me lay it out for you. Mr. Price, nobody in this county wants Mr. Price to close his business, okay? We need as much business here, and one of the things that I would be doing, of course, is privatizing some of the appraisal out to state certified appraisers, because I do recognize that they are the professionals in this business. So when it's necessary, I would privatize it out. So I would help his business. As far as Carey Baker goes, he's way overqualified for this. He was a senator, a fantastic senator, did push a lot of good legislation through, and personally, I think we need to put him back up in Tallahassee to get more legislation through, legislation that I will be pushing in order to fix some of the defects that I see in the appraisal system right now. As far as Mr. Havill goes, I don't know, I just keep thinking about Green Bay Packers and the quarterback there that kept retiring and coming back, and Brett Favre, you know, retire, come back, Ed, you did a great job for us. I voted for you many times, and I just think it's time for you to go ahead and enjoy your retirement. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've got 2 bachelor's degrees, a master's degree. I've done this job for you for 36 years. Think back. What kind of assessments have you gotten over the years? If you think I have been unfair, they haven't been just, they haven't been uniform, you've got 3 other people to choose from. I am dedicated to that job. When I walked in that office, they had nothing. It was like an empty warehouse. The appraisers didn't know how to appraise property. They had hard record cards, but they used pencils to put down the appraisals and used erasers. I trained the first group of appraisers, and I've been sending them to school. I took them out to orange groves, commercial property, and I got them started going to school so they could be certified. We have a very low turnover. We've got the best service of any government office that a lot of people have walked into. And what you are doing, if you're considering anybody else, you're buying a lottery ticket. These people are building castles in the sky. They're promising this, that, and something else. I've been doing it for 36 years, and I need your vote August 14th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity to come before you. As I mentioned originally, this election really isn't about where we are today. It's where we're going to go. You know, and do we have the property appraiser that's going to provide the leadership and the vision to move this office forward? Are we going to do the changes and make the changes that are necessary to keep up with technology? Are we going to make the changes that are necessary to continue to provide better customer service at a reduced cost. As your former state senator, I actually worked on those issues. I have a proven record of actually taking up your cause, fighting for you, making sure that you're fairly recognized when you go before a value adjustment board. I've taken up the cause when I saw property taxes skyrocketing. I pushed for the doubling of the homestead exemption to protect you from losing your home. These are the issues that I work for. This office, what it needs is someone with enthusiasm, someone with energy, a fresh set of eyes, a new way of looking at things, and we can move this office forward. And I have the background. Whether it's my gun shop as a small businessman, whether it's the leadership skills that I learned through 31 years of Florida National Guard time. You know, I'm proud of my military service. I'm proud that I'm a gun shop owner. I'm proud that I'm a lifetime Republican that has stood up for Republican values, never quit the party, stood up for you. So with me, you get someone that's enthusiastic, someone with a vision, someone that's a businessman, someone that has the leadership skills to move this office. I mentioned that I have elected property appraisers endorsing me in this office, 7 of them now. They're electing me as the candidate most qualified to move the office forward. But as I mentioned before, ultimately, it's your endorsement that I seek. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carey. This concludes the forum. We appreciate the candidates coming and spending their time with us. And I told you we'd get you out by noon.
You made it.